Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Sorry, oh, bit rubbish with technology. So can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely fine.
Oh, okay.
All good. All good. And Debbie, well done, Debbie.
Yeah. Hiya.
Yeah.
Hi.
I was wondering whether you'd be able to work it out or not.
Oh, I know. Well, I thought, oh God, have I got to do it through email or does it come up here? But
No,
I
it's
saw a bit which just said see more and I pressed it. So and I've got here.
click on the link. Click on the link and you're there.
Yeah. Am I bright enough? Can you see me all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, right,
Fine
okay.
for this. We're not really going to be doing too much. It's just a bit of a Q&A really. I just thought it would be, I think Ella's going to join a little bit later.
Right.
But I just know that there was a bit of a discussion going on about breathing, and for me to write a post that made sense, not really. Do you know what I mean? It's, you always think you're writing it correctly, and then it doesn't, you know, it doesn't happen. So I just thought it would be easier for me to discuss it with you on a Zoom like this, and then it gives everybody else an opportunity to learn from that, and also to ask their own questions. This is good. We've got lots of people joining. It's not just me and you, Abby. Hey, Natalie. Sylvia, I can't see you. Are you there?
Hello, sorry, I just realized that the call was now and I literally just finished showering, so apologies.
Oh. Make yourself decent.
Yes.
Don't be that woman that goes into the toilet with her phone that's doing the rounds on the internet.
No. My phone was in the room, and then I just got out of the shower, and I was like, oh shoot, is it at 8 o'clock? And I ran in the room, and I was like, it's 8:01. Oh my god, I need to get on the call.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, if other people join, that's absolutely fine. But I just thought I'd give you 30 minutes to kind of, all of you, to kind of think about anything you need clarification on, or just if you need any help with anything, really. It's just a good way of kind of going over a few things that maybe you don't have a chance to ask me in the sessions, or obviously you wouldn't have a chance to ask me so much in the group. So Abby, what is it that you're struggling with the breathing?
Yeah, so probably the worst. It's really difficult to explain.
Yeah, I agree. That's why it's good to do this.
Yeah, so I was trying to kind of, when I did the flow earlier tonight, I was trying to think what is the difference between what I'm doing, in a hope that I would be able to try and explain it.
Yeah.
So I don't.
What do you need clarification on?
Sorry.
What do you need clarification on?
So after you breathe all the way out.
Yes.
So then it's kind of like the 2 steps of holding your breath, and then the next little bit that I get confused with.
Right.
So I feel like I can either breathe all the way out and then just kind of cut it off.
Yeah.
And then, so on one of the your recent videos, it said about kind of like letting the tension, sort of like relaxing the tension that you've created.
Yeah.
So when I tried to do that, I was doing something different from what not massively different, but different enough to notice between when I've sort of used the idea of taking a like pretend breath in, not actually breathing in, but just kind of opening the ribs.
Yeah, so just remember,
so I'm a bit like, oh, hang on,
that it's a subconscious reflex. So when you introduce, that's why I said on the group, that cue to sniff the flower or open your ribs isn't always helpful, because what we're trying to achieve is subconscious. That vacuum is a reflex that happens once we stop, empty fully, stop breathing, and relax tension around the ribs. and that reflex starts to kick in. So if you start thinking to yourself, in order to initiate it, I have to open my ribs or stretch apart or pull this up here, you're doing something else consciously, and it's not a true subconscious reflex.
Okay.
So the first thing you need to get right is that you've got rid of all the air, that you're not sneaking any air in, and that you're allowing the tension to release around your ribs. So when you exhale fully, everything's coming in and you're using lots of muscles here. Yeah. And it's almost like a feeling of bracing a little bit, you know, maybe not as tight as if you're really pulling in, but if you exhale fully, your ribs will be at that bottom point. There'll be lots of muscles working and activating. So you just want to be able to relax them off enough that your ribs start to open by themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is a subconscious reflex. However, some people really, really struggle with what it feels like. And so we give them that cue to imagine sniffing a flower.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're only using that, imagine sniffing a flower, to open your ribs, then you're actually doing it consciously.
Doing something, yeah, okay.
I tend to only give that cue to people if they really struggle to get anything ever. Like if they really can't get the breathing, then I try and explain it like that. Because I found that didn't really help me in the beginning, that cue to sniff the flower. I didn't really understand it. I just let my body do it by itself. So remember, the mechanisms are exhale fully and the glottis shuts. So you've got this flap of skin in your throat that opens and closes, and that shuts off to create a seal, and then everything vacuums up towards it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you will feel something in your throat. That's normal because that shuts. Some people say it's like a tightening. Some people describe it as just like a need to swallow.
Yeah.
There's lots of different descriptions, but it's all that is your glottis shuts to create the seal, and then everything vacuums up towards that. And in the beginning, when we're learning, there's no way it's going to look like mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's muscle memory. That's done over. I've been doing hypopressives now for at least 7 or 8 years now. So, you know, you've got to think that don't compare yourself to anybody else. As long as you get a small reaction or some sort of reflex, then you are the mechanisms to get yourself there are right.
Okay, cool.
You'll see lots of videos probably on YouTube from Spain where they encourage you to stretch and open your ribs and that's not right as far as I'm concerned, because it's a subconscious reflex we need first before we start consciously cueing anything, because otherwise we're not training the subconscious, we're training the conscious.
Just doing an active.
Which is what all the other exercises we do for the pelvic floor are.
Okay, that makes, Can I just ask about the exhale?
Yeah.
Because the lady that taught me said to not not force it. So not.
That's right.
Yeah. So I didn't know whether with the tension whether. So you're not kind of like really, because sometimes I kind of think, God, it's taking me ages to.
No, you're better off to start like that and
exhale and kind of, and it's just going on forever.
Yeah, you're better off to be like that, to be honest, Abby, than to be like, you know, like pushing
to try and
okay,
cool.
So that is right. It's an open mouth and it's a letting go breath, and as you do it more, you'll become more efficient at getting rid of it, especially that last breath in the 4 seconds. It just comes with practice. Yeah, so don't think you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong if you're creating lots of pressure and tension down on the pelvic floor.
Okay, cool.
Good. We answered it. Yes.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So I'm going to move around the room, if that's okay, and see whether anybody else has got any problems or anything that they want me to cover. Hopefully that's why you're here. So I'll go to Debbie.
Yeah, I still don't know whether I'm getting rid of all my breath, but I am experiencing the throat thing and a sort of movement up. So it's
So you are
definitely
then?
different than it was. I am, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
You can't achieve the vacuum if you've got any air there. It won't happen.
Oh, right, okay, right, okay.
Imagine like one of those big storage bags that you put in the loft, the clear ones that you
Oh,
usually
yeah.
suction everything out. Yeah, if there was still some air in there, it would still be too bulky to put it up.
Yeah.
So you need to have all the air out of
Yeah.
it to make it smaller and compact and to store it. And that's exactly the same. If you've got all the air out, you'll get that response.
Right, okay, great.
I've never known anybody who still has breath that can achieve a vacuum. Usually we have to really make sure that they've got rid of all the air, they can feel that closing off, and the vacuum happens.
Okay, fine.
And
Okay.
your response, your reflex will just increase over time and practice, I promise you.
Yeah.
What you think is like not much now will increase over time.
Yeah, and I think actually I commented one time that sometimes I find that I can hold the breath easier than others. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I need to take a breath.
Yeah, and that's
quicker than others. It just varies.
Yeah, and that may be the posture you're in.
Yeah, right, okay.
That's quite normal as well.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And again, the amount of time that you can hold your breath for will increase the more it's a progression. So as you progress, you'll be able to hold your breath for longer, and the effect will be amplified even more.
Right, okay, fine.
So again, it's just, we think we should be able to do it like that. It's the nature of the person, unfortunately. We're all the same. We want to, it's just breathing and postures after all. So we all kind of feel like we should be able to do that.
Yeah,
it takes practice.
Yeah, I must say what you're doing is just absolutely brilliant. I am so enjoying it. It is so good. I really, really am. Yeah, very, very good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed. I loved last month, and then to be able to do it again this month, for me, you guys are all really helping me, because I'm just the same as you. I don't naturally find that time. I know it's only 10 to 15 minutes, but now it's scheduled in my diary. It's written in when my lives are. You make me do a schedule. I make myself put that schedule in my diary, and that makes me do it. My initial intention with the groups was to do a mixture of recordings, because I've got so many recordings from sessions I've done. But I mean, this month, probably I don't know, who knows over Christmas, but then I might just turn up in my pajamas with a big fat turkey belly, and you just never know, do you? So
hungover as well.
Because I don't really drink, so that would be I do drink a little bit, but I just can't handle it these days. I'm showing my age now.
Oh, I know, it doesn't take me. I have one, I'm like, oh, I'm tipsy.
I can't cook the dinner now.
Yeah, no.
Right,
thank you. It's
Natalie,
great.
have you got any questions for me?
My query's really the same kind of as Abby and Debbie's. I'm not really sure if I'm always getting rid of all the air, but then I don't always feel a vacuum, but I nearly always feel my throat getting cut off. Yeah. So if the throat gets cut off, that means you've got rid of the air.
Yeah.
That's
part of the response. You're not cueing yourself to do that. That's part of the response to you getting rid of all the air. So you exhale fully, and that shuts, because then that creates the seal. Okay. So that is you getting rid of all the air.
Yeah, because then, like Abby says, sometimes I'm just like,
you feel like
waiting for it to come out.
But you're all quite new to hypopressive, so this is all stuff that is just normal to experience, really. Yes, if you feel that the glottis shut, then you've got all the air out. Okay. Yeah, and you will find that in some postures, just as I said to Debbie, you'll be able to hold your breath for longer than others. Usually the ones that you find easier, so for me that's more of the bent over positions, I find easier, and I'm able to hold my breath for longer. The seated positions are my nemesis, although actually I've got better at them through doing them regularly. but especially legs extended, posture number 7, that tends to be the one where I don't want to breathe for too long or hold my breath for too long because it's just too uncomfortable. But it just comes with time. All of it comes with time. Yeah. And you're all doing really well. I mean, I've seen you in the sessions, in the beginner sessions. You don't look like a beginner at all. So, you were doing really well, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, should we move to Sylvie? Sylvie's one of our trainers.
Yes, well, I haven't trained anybody yet. I just done the course for myself.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Yeah, because I have prolapses and stuff, so I just wanted to improve that. So I find that most of the time, like 90% of the time, I have to swallow before the vacuum.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's normal.
Yeah.
Yes, so I inhale and then I exhale for the last time. Yeah, and then I just have to swallow and then vacuum.
So if you think about your primal response, your brain is now thinking to itself, I've got no air and I've stopped breathing. And it's a primal response to just check your airways. So to check your airways, you go to swallow. Yeah, and then you get your vacuum. So it's normal, very, very normal. Yeah, it's a weird old thing, hypopressives, it really is. But yeah, that's completely normal, Sylvie. It's just your brain's way of sorting it out. Like, oh my God, she's done it again. She's got no air. She's stopped breathing. Just got to check that everything's, her airways are clear. And that's it, really. It's that primal response.
Yeah, and then last week was a bit tricky for me because when I did the course, we already learned it with moving the arms. So when our hands were in front and then we took it down and then took it up with the apnea, and I was like, oh God, we're not doing that. We're just bringing the hands straight up. And
so when we first taught you, and you were on one of the first courses, I think, we very much did some of it more differently. I think we've just adapted it because it's easier to teach, it's simpler for the client, and it's simpler for the trainer to teach their client. And then we you'll see lots of different variations coming through in the next few weeks in terms of progressions. So that's not the only one we're going to do, but that one we took out of the basic stuff and put it into more of the progressions because it confused too many people in the beginning.
Yes, but I think because we're holding the hand above for so long, that's why I started feeling my back, that I have 2 large muscles in the back. And I was like, oh my God, we're still holding. And it's so painful now. And I literally had to come out of the position.
If you find it easier to do moving arms, then just do moving arms. Yeah, do whatever, because the thing is with it is that we will move away from that discomfort. So you'll probably find you'll move out of an optimal position if you're not careful. So I would say if you're more used to doing moving arms, then maybe gradually incorporate that top arm position in. But I know what you mean, because I hated it when we switched. I hated actually holding my arms above my head, but I've got used to it now. So again, just add it in occasionally. Don't always do it, and build it up over time, probably. Just to help you with that. All right.
Thank you.
It's lovely to see you. Michelle.
Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, I haven't really got any questions. I came on board because I'm new and learning, and I thought there might be some other things that might come up that I can learn from. I think I posted something earlier, and for some reason it came up with a daft unicorn. I don't know where that came from, so I deleted it. I deleted the whole post.
That's technology, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm like, did I post a unicorn? And then it cut the post out.
Well, it wasn't me.
So, yeah, I think it was my horn. I was trying to say about my nose, maybe. But I think the only thing I can say what helped me move away from consciously thinking on the breathing, I actually stood in front of a full-length mirror, so torso's bare, so I was sort of undressed, so I could actually see my ribs and my tummy, because when you're clothed you can't always see. So for me, when I read on the notes about the sniffing the flower, it kind of came together. So I just stood there, and I think I must have at some point subconsciously took my awareness to my nose, and so, but it was more behind my nose, so it's probably that cut off of the throat.
Yeah.
And as I was looking at the mirror, I just saw the vacuum go in, and from that moment, because I saw it, I was like, okay, so this is coming together, and it just progressed from there, really. So if anyone hasn't tried that, might be worth.
I mean, the mirror in the beginning, it's not something that we would normally ask people to stand in front of a mirror to do hypopressives, because you get feedback from the mirror. So in the beginning, you're not learning how it feels to be in the wrong position, or how it feels to get a vacuum, or how you're learning to see it in the mirror. So you're getting biofeedback from the mirror. So what you want is to kind of learn what it feels like that your shoulders have gone up, or your head's gone forward, or you've gone out of position, so you can correct yourself. Otherwise, it's that same sort of thing where you're walking along and you go past a shop window and you catch yourself slouching and your head down, you never even realize, and you pull yourself up again, and then you go past the next shop window and you see that you've drifted again. It's learning to be in that better position. So you when you're walking along and you look in the shop window, you're actually in a good position. So mirror can be useful, but don't always use it. I always say to people, have a mirror on the side of you if you can. Like in your bedroom, if you've got a long mirror, just have it to the side of you so you can just keep turning and checking. The mirror is helpful, like I've got here, to see whether you're getting a vacuum, because the other way you can see whether you've got a vacuum is these little dints that go in round here, around the muscles in your neck. So the glottis shuts and everything vacuums up to that point. So all of these little muscles in your neck stand out. So it's like, and sucks up there as well. And you'll see, you can see that with me when I'm doing it. So that's a good way of knowing whether you've got a vacuum, is seeing those bits in the mirror. So yeah, I mean, it can be helpful. It's just in the beginning, don't use it all the time. I mean, I've had clients.
I think it was just that once, and I was looking for that because I'd seen it on the teaching video, and I was looking for that, and then I noticed how much my stomach had gone in that I hadn't realized was happening. So I think for me, it just gave me that confidence then just to go with it without thinking about it, because it was like, yeah, this is actually happening, if that makes sense. So I don't use the mirror now, but it was
the other thing as well, sometimes it helps you to look and see whether, when you're breathing, because you can get into a good position, and then when you breathe, there's an amount of movement that you maybe don't feel yourself doing. I've had clients before, when I've been training them one-to-one, that have sworn blind that they're keeping their shoulders still, they're not moving their neck, and then you go, okay, fine, that's fine. Stand in front of the mirror and watch yourself. And then they're watching themselves, and they can see this is going on as they're breathing. And then that gives them like almost backup from the mirror to say, oh yeah, I am, and I need to stop that. So yeah, I mean, it can be useful. It's just, not all the time, really.
I guess from time to time, because like, not at the moment, I haven't been doing the Zoom classes, and not learning this in a live class, because I guess in a live class, if you've got a tutor walking around teaching you, they would perhaps remind you more, because as you say, we're not always conscious, are we, of what we're doing?
Absolutely not. No. The amount of times, well, say for example, Natalie, when she's in posture, her pelvis drifts out of position. Tiny bit, but it changes what you can see. You wouldn't think I'd be able to see it on the screen, because it's a tiny amount, but you can see it. I can see it because I've seen so many people doing hypopressives. And if there's going to be that common problem in, say, one or two postures, it'll be happening in all of them. So until she starts to learn that's not the default position, the posture, getting it in the correct way is the default position. And that's how you improve your posture, is by just reinforcing all the time, head back, shoulders back. You think how many times if I said to you the word posture, you'd all probably be going like this, and then throughout the rest of the conversation you'd end up slouching forward, and I'd say the word posture again and you'd be up again. Do you know what I mean? But it's actually getting your body to a position where it just, you're sat in a correct position. It doesn't feel unnatural, and you're in the right position. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Mary.
I don't really have a question. Everybody asked all my questions.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Well, it's lovely to see you anyway. It's great that you're here. Sammy Lou, great picture of you on the pole. Oh, there she is.
I haven't, my questions have been answered, but my main one is that I go giddy in prayer. So I've just stopped doing that one. Is that normal to go a bit giddy with your head down?
I've not heard that before. I mean, usually...
I feel like I go a bit lightheaded.
Have you got quite low blood pressure?
I don't think so.
No.
And then the other thing is as well, I've noticed that when I'm doing them, sometimes as I'm letting all the air out, I feel like I need to cough.
Yeah, no, when I'm moving head tucks. Yeah, I do the same.
I'll be there. Everyone's in silence. I'm like,
yeah.
Moving head tucks is because of your windpipe.
Right.
So it almost kind of makes it a bit more restricted, especially once you've got your head right in. So if you've got your head right in, you're almost kind of resting more on your windpipe anyway.
And is that probably why I'm coughing?
Is yours just in normal basic positions? Or
it can be in, I think it's, do you know what, it might be where I'm looking down at you.
There you go.
Camera, because of it's when I get to let all the air out, and then sometimes I feel like I cough. I can't stop it.
Just try and keep your eyes up on the horizon
I'll try that, because it might be where I'm looking at you.
It might be.
Because I swear, Nikki, as well, like on November, I swear you're holding your breath longer now.
Am I? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm there thinking, like before, I was managing to stay with you, whereas now I'm like, like really
what I try and do is count between 8 and 10 seconds, no more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, I just thought maybe she's holding it longer.
I could probably hold it for about 15 to 20 seconds in some of those positions. So I'm like, what happens is...
Yeah, I've noticed.
What happens is I am enjoying it, and then the brain goes off and goes, oh, I wonder what should I get out of the freezer for?
Yeah.
And then I can, because I'm a personal trainer by trade, I'm used to counting. So I'm still counting in the background because I can hear the clock, but my brain's drifted off about dinner. And then I come back and I'm going 13, 14, and I realise I haven't breathed. So yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's right. I've been counting you. I would say you're doing about 13 to 14.
No.
It doesn't matter. It's brilliant because it's making me stretch myself. But I just thought it was funny because I thought, I swear she's holding her breath longer.
The only thing is that it might be that because sometimes although I get a very deep response, in some of the postures I don't always get it straight away, so it doesn't come in straight away. So maybe there's like 2 or 3 seconds where it comes in, and then I start counting after that, because I've got a clock in my kitchen that ticks.
Yeah,
you can hear it, and so I know when I'm doing the live, it's quiet, completely quiet usually, and I can hear my clock, so that I know that I'm counting. But what I'll try and do is on those live sessions, just kind of do between 8 and 10. That's what I thought I was doing.
It doesn't matter. I just thought it was funny. I thought, my God, she's holding longer. And I'm trying to stay with you.
What I'm saying with that is, though, if you're not at that point, just put an extra breath in.
Yeah.
You know, if you need to do an extra inhale and exhale to keep up, it's not the worst thing. You're still practicing your lateral breath, which is like the main important part of hypopressives. So...
Yeah, I've also found as well the Friday flow one you've done, I'm finding that one really well. So I've been doing that rather than the lives. I've been going to that. Is that all right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel at last that it's actually working. So obviously I know you say it takes a while, but I'm like, oh, I can feel it.
Yeah.
But
And what, so you did November, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And before that you were a bit intermittent, weren't you?
Yeah, and also I felt like, because I did a few of the online with you, which helped massively. But obviously when I'm caring for my nan, I don't get a lot of time at the moment because she needs me so much. But yeah, so they helped massively.
Yeah.
But it's obviously, like you say, you've got to practice and just keep doing it and just try and relax through it. And the other day, I literally at last, I was like, yay, I felt it. So it was such a nice feeling because you thought, I felt like finally I'm getting it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it does take a while.
That's the thing. It's one of those things where you think, I really should be able to do this. It's just a bit of breathing, and it's just.
I'm one of those people as well who always want to run before I walk.
Oh yeah.
And if I can't do it, I'm like, that's it, I'm not doing it.
Oh yeah. I mean, fortunately for you guys and for the rest of the UK and other countries that we've been to, I stuck with it. But my partner Richard, he came on the same course with me, and he really didn't get it, and he probably didn't get it for 3 weeks. He felt nothing. He couldn't relax. Basically, he was exhaling and just really holding everything, so not relaxing the tension. And he had a lot of like stress related symptoms for IBS. So he had inflammation, which was also causing him to kind of not want to relax there. And 3 weeks, and he was like, this is rubbish, I'm not doing it anymore. And I made him carry on, and then he started to feel something. I think pretty much at the point where he nearly gave up, he started to feel it. So
yeah, I think it's one of those things that does, like you say, it will take time, and I think we've just got to try and be patient.
Absolutely.
And that, but I'm definitely glad I stuck to it.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
I mean, Mary hated it, didn't you?
Nikki, that's what I know. Everyone's different, and it's how much you practice. But when you say you get a deep response, how long did it take you to get a deep? I know you probably practicing every day, roughly.
I can't remember.
Right.
I mean, to where I am now, it's. I mean, you know, the response I get is ridiculous. But what I would say as well for me is that I've changed physically a hell of a lot since I started Hypopressives, and that's due to dietary changes and exercise, and just Hypopressives kind of empowered me to do more. So it made me stronger, more stable, and therefore the knock-on effect that had was confidence to go and do things that I never would have done before, like running and climbing and horse riding and stuff like that. So physically I look very, very different to when I started. But also, you know, my internal workings are so much stronger, that it's just increased as I've gone on. And now I'm so lean that it looks ridiculous. You know, we run an advert on Facebook, and the amount of comments that I've had on there about being anorexic, can you believe it?
No, actually, can I say, my son's 15, and he watched me. He thought you were very fit. He thought you were gorgeous.
Oh God, not a 15-year-old. I had a 4-year-old. I had a 4-year-old joining in before with
no, but
me.
he's trying to do weights, and he thought your arms are great.
So, yeah, I mean, I've been able to do that because I've stuck with Hypopressives. I really, truly, honestly believe that. So in terms of how my vacuum looked when I first started, I always got a response. So from the very first time I learnt it, I got something, but it was tiny compared to what it is now. And
I remember when I went to the course, I think it was 2016, springtime or something. And you had still a little bit of gap in your tummy.
Yes.
From the twins, and you had a lot of wobbly skin.
Yeah.
And when I went to the course again, when was it? Maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Just to recap. And Richard has checked you, and he said, "Oh, your gap is gone."
Yeah.
And you have much less wobbly skin on the tummy as well.
Yeah. I mean, if I look back at pictures of me that I thought I looked okay, now I think, oh my God, was that really me? I'll have to dig some out and put them in the group. I mean, I'm not saying I looked like, you know, I'm not, but I could tell just from my posture in some of the pictures. I'm like, really, and posture's a massive one for the vacuum as well. So, you know, you'll get a deeper vacuum the better your posture gets as well. So it's like this, almost like this triangle where you do one thing and it improves that, and that improves something else that will improve that even more. You know, you'll kind of keep going round.
Yeah. I think the posture thing is one of the best things for me. I really noticed how bad my posture is during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, I mean, it's very hard to say. Like, I definitely didn't have the vacuum like it is now, and in the beginning it was a bit like you guys. It was a bit like, is it there? In fact, I remember videoing myself in seated positions because I was convinced I wasn't getting a vacuum in my seated positions. A lot of people say that they can't feel it that well in seated positions. And then when I videoed myself, there was something happening. The thing being is, once you've learned it, your brain won't go, oh, she's in seated posture, it's not going to work now. It's still working. It's just, it doesn't have the same impact. And I think for me, the seated postures are the hardest, the ones I find the hardest. So I work really hard everywhere to hold myself in those positions. And then it's harder for me to achieve the vacuum. Well, it used to be anyway. But yeah, like I say, I videoed myself because I was convinced I wasn't getting it. And I was. So, you know, it's hard to remember like how long it took me to get it to where it is now, but it's always improving, Mary, is the answer. Yeah. So, and actually, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. The woman that taught me was a Spanish woman, and if you look at her doing hypopressives, and she's been doing it for longer than me because she came to it before me, and she's younger and she doesn't have any children, and so you'd think that her vacuum would look really deep, but I mean it's there, but it's not massive. And then there's another woman in Canada who's like super lean, a runner, like she's got a little child's body really, and hers suctions right in. You think, where has she gone? All of her internal organs must have gone on holiday because they just disappear. So everybody will look very different. The thing that I always try and get across to people is it doesn't matter whether you're old, you're young, whether you've got weight to lose, whether you're slim, whatever, you can still do it. There's no like, it's not like, you know, like when people get very conscious about being big and running and being big and doing physical exercise. With hypopressives, you don't have to be conscious because anyone can do it. It's just learning a technique to get everything working properly and to activate everything as it should do. So yeah, on that note, I think we'll leave it there. If anyone's got, is everyone okay with that? You understand?
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Thank you.
I think it's been great because your debate, or your question, or what you wrote has kind of made me think, I could write something, but it wouldn't be as clear as if I tried to explain it to you. So it's a great way to get everybody on and make sure that we're all on the same page, really.
I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. That's awesome. It's really amazing.
And I've recorded it, so if I can work out how to put the recording in the group, I'll put the recording in the group. All right, lovely to see you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Nikki. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. Thank you.